India's women's team has done it, winning the ODI World Cup and rewriting cricket history. This victory isn't just sporting triumph. It's a statement that women's cricket in India is no longer the undercard, but the main event. From packed stadiums to record-breaking viewership, the narrative has flipped. Fans tuning out of the men's T20 and tuning in to watch Harmanpreet Kaur, Smriti Mandhana, Shefali Verma and Jemimah Rodrigues dominate the global stage. But as the applause fades, tougher questions emerge. Is this momentum enough to change the business of cricket? Sponsorship, pay parity and visibility, or will this success be celebrated and then forgotten like we've seen in the past? Joining us to unpack what's next for women's cricket, the man steering commercial side of Indian sports, Divyanshu Singh, CEO of JSW Sports, is joining us today, a company managing some of the biggest names in Indian cricket and beyond. Divyanshu, let me begin this conversation by congratulating you. We saw, your excitement in a few articles where you've already spoken. But tell us how did you feel and what was your first response when you saw the Indian women's cricket team lift the ODI World Cup?
I think the hope is that this is a watershed moment. Enough people have spoken about this, that what the 1983 Cricket World Cup meant for the men's in terms of turning around the entire sport and its impact on society and culture. I think that is the hope, expectation and aspirations that we all have from the moment that transpired.
And how does JSW Sport plan to capitalize on this momentum to build, so to speak, a sustainable, commercial value for women's cricket and female cricketers going forward?
Yeah, and I think we've also had a lot of learnings in the past, because I think the similar kind of hype, and I'll just draw a comparison and an analogy, also happens when it comes to Olympic sports, which happens once in 4 years. Historic moments happen, brands, suddenly everyone's talking about it, whoever are the new heroes. And then you say that that buzz kind of dies down, right? So that's been a learning, and hence for us, for these athletes, it is very, very important that how we sustain this movement, right? Which means that building the brands of these athletes becomes very, very important. Sure. How we get their voice out is very, very important. Luckily, the media has played a very, very big role this time. Like the newspapers, the social media platforms have all been, I think, full of the stories that they all are coming from. Son of a carpenter, the kind of struggles that they've gone through. And I think brands will now start realizing that I think this is a huge, huge opportunity. It's like a cultural defining moment. Yeah. That everyone would want to be a part of.
No, absolutely. And as you said, some of the players like Jemimah Rodrigues, like Harmanpreet Kaur, like Shefali Verma, they are the heroes. But what role are you going to play forward to ensure that they become sustainable brands themselves? Like, how do they build their own equity? How do they, be better spokespeople for some of the brands that they associate themselves with?
Right. So there's a lot of work that happens here behind the scenes. First is that athletes have to be treated like humans, and each have a different and distinct personalities. Someone like a Jemmy is a social media sensation, right? Yeah. She has actually broken stigma by going and talking about anxiety, mental health, and I would say how many Indian athletes have had that kind of courage to talk about these issues, right? So amazing, but equally, we have to work in ensuring that how we build their personalities, what are the kind of attributes we want to bring down. We also spend a lot of effort towards media training, towards personality training, towards also grooming them in the right way so that they become as marketable, and we believe that they deserve as much as the World Cup winning men's team did, and there's no reason to believe that they should be any lesser, which means the effort needs to be built in ensuring that their brands are very, very sustainable. Also, I think thanks to platforms like the WPL, these athletes are also now visible and seen a lot more. Sure. So that makes a huge, huge difference, because our learning in India has been jo dikhta hai wo bikta hai, and I think that's something which has happened for cricket. And the more and more it starts happening for other sports, women's cricket, you'll see that the commercial value will definitely be unlocked.
And it's been only a couple of years since WPL was introduced to us. After this World Cup win, WPL coming up in like a couple of months, early 2026, what is the change that you expect this year?
Yeah. the first thing that we need to see, all of us, is that we need to get more women to start watching women's cricket. Today, the reality is that even the WPL viewership, while it's significant at about 170 million, it's dominated by men, right? So moments like these, I think, will change. On Sunday night was the first time ever that my wife saw a women's cricket game, right? And fully, and we all were cheering. So I think that would be first big change that will happen now. That as we can start getting more women to start following, watching our women stars, I think would be a good step.
You said that the World Cup win will transform women's cricket going forward. If you can also share with us, what will be some of the measurable indicators? Is it salary? Is it media rights? Is it, the grassroots pipeline coming into women's cricket? You spoke about viewership already, like more women watching cricket. What will be the measurable indicators that, your organization will be tracking to see this transformation has indeed happened?
Yeah, so you've already covered on viewership, but I'm just sharing some of the things that I think have happened over the last week and what we forecast as well. Jemima Rodriguez had like 100% jump in a social media fan following, had to happen after that knock against Australia. Same happened with Shafali as well for her match-winning knock against Australia in the finals as well, right? Besides viewership, and I think right now what you'll see is that the laurels will come. Media coverage will come. That's something which is very, very important for women's sport because they do not get enough coverage. And as they start getting more and more coverage, what happens is that the resonance and the relevance of these personalities in the ecosystem grows. And once that starts happening, then you'll see brands, sponsors, media, everyone seeing relevance in that. Another big challenge with women's cricket so far has been that they have not got enough competitions. That problem is now getting solved. All in all, this will create an environment where I think the next generation, parents will be not so hesitant when women come up and say, we want to play sport. And everyone wanting to play sport doesn't need to become a professional. But today, close to 40% of Indian women don't get enough physical activity. And I think we as a society also have a lot of things to fix, from infrastructure to access to sport to having coaches who can cater to women as well. So I think that's how the entire ecosystem will grow. And the responsibility is equally on everyone. But we've got that pivot start, we've got that head start that we really need to now capitalize on.
And what about pay parity? Like, when do we attain that? Women's cricket versus men's cricket. The pay difference is huge.
Yes, it is.
So when do we attain that? How much longer will it take?
It's the same question that I pose in front of brand managers or the marketing heads when they feel that the women cricketer doesn't deserve the same fee that a men's World Cup winning champion would do, right? I think that's a level playing question. And do they deserve it? Yes. But a lot of these ends up being a result of the commercial model, right? Like what kind of revenue is being generated, what kind of commercial value is being generated. So I think let's not look at it only from an idealistic perspective, because I think there some good strides have been made. The kind of parity that BCCI has tried to bring in terms of their player contracts, etc. Now, from the commercial perspective, right, whether it comes to brands paying to these athletes for what they deserve, and I think that flip will now start happening.
Many still treat, women's cricket as, so to speak, a feel-good story. So, as someone who manages many of these athletes, how do you address skeptics and sponsors who see this, as a temporary trend and beyond the feel-good story as a serious sport?
I think the conversation needs to start changing, as you're rightly saying, from support to also building a platform that provides value to all stakeholders. That's very, very important. And while women's sport is still, I think it has reached a juncture now where it is at a tipping point. From here, I think as we start providing value to the ecosystem, I think the conversation will not be about come support women's cricket. People who don't come and ride this wave would be left behind. There have been brands like JSW, Puma and others who've been supporting women's sport for a very, very long time. And now is the time that they're reaping the rewards of it because there has been consistency. What also needs to change is that a lot of the women-centric categories in India, so per se do not look at women's sport personality as an aspirational figure. Like, I'll give you an example that a lot of the sport apparel brands in India would still prefer associating with entertainment personalities and not women.
Bollywood celebrities.
Bollywood celebrities, right? Even the sponsors of, say, properties such as the WPL are dominated by male-centric categories. Like you don't have sponsors from categories of women's grooming, personal care, etc. still coming. So that's a change that needs to start happening. It exists in advanced and matured sport economies. Like, if you just have a look at the US, you'll realize that women athletes are cultural icons. Now, that's a change that has happened from Sunday, where Harmanpreet, Shefali, Jemmy, now they'll be looked at in a very, very different light.
Thank you so much, Divyanshu. Thanks for joining us today and this wonderful conversation.
Thank you. Pleasure's mine.
Time for a short break. On the other side, we are joined in by Akshay Jatia, CEO of Westlife Food World, which is the operator for McDonald's India, West and South, on the paddle court for a very interesting conversation.